Welcome into a little Sunday morning edition of Duval Daily presented by GenJag.com. I'm your host, Jordan DeLugo. Thanks so much for tuning in here. Right now, we're taking a look at the Jaguars' injuries that are mounting across the offensive and defensive line. They're getting a little thin in the trenches, and we're going to dive into it here. Cam Robinson, he obviously is not injured right now, but he is out the first 4 weeks of the regular season due to suspension. The Jaguars' starting left tackle of the last half decade, so you're going to be without him the first month of the season. The Jaguars were prepared for that. What they weren't prepared for was all the injuries that would continue to stock up on that offensive line. Anton Harrison is dealing with that lingering shoulder that we've been talking about here. It's kind of a pain tolerance, pain management situation for him right now. He's going to be able to play. He's going to be able to suit up, but that's just something you're going to have to keep an eye on as the regular season starts and the preseason winds down here. Jaguars' final preseason game this upcoming week against the Miami Dolphins. First game in Jacksonville for the Jags this year. And it'll be a game where the Jaguars are planning on playing the starters close to the entire first half, according to Doug Peterson. But getting back to these offensive and defensive line injuries, again, going through the offensive line, Cooper Hodges, Doug Peterson believes he has a patellar tendon issue in his knee. We'll see how that plays out. They're going to have to get MRIs and all that stuff done. But Cooper Hodges was a late-round pick for the Jaguars in 2023, a local kid out of Baker County, went to Appalachian State, played tackle. They brought him into Jacksonville to play guard for them. He's been physical. He's been really solid in the running game, getting out and helping guys pick up extra yards. But obviously, if he's unable to go, that thins your depth a little bit. Then you look at tackle. Josh Wells also sustained an injury this week. It's an unspecified injury at this point. We don't know anything about it, but he was unavailable after he sustained that injury in the first day of joint practices with the Lions. Did not play against the Lions in preseason week 2 yesterday in that 25-7 win. Obviously a big win for the Jaguars, but at what cost, right? So Josh Wells, we don't know what the deal is with him. He's currently the Jaguars' OT3. He's a guy that can play right tackle. He can play left tackle. Had a really good first game back for the Jaguars. You know, he originally started his career here, went over to Tampa for a while, back in Jacksonville now. He played very well against the Dallas Cowboys, but you're not sure when you're going to be able to get him back as your OT3/OT4 when Cam Robinson returns. So the Jaguars, they do have depth at tackle, but no Cam Robinson for the first 4 weeks certainly impacts that early on. Then you look at Tyler Shatley. He's on the interior for the Jaguars, still dealing with the AFib situation. He's still out due to that situation. He has not been fully cleared to return to practice. He's been doing some of the walkthrough stuff, some of the individual, but none of the full team work. He hasn't been playing in the games. Chandler Brewer sustained a shoulder injury yesterday against the Lions, interior offensive lineman for the Jaguars. So did Darrell Williams. So these injuries along this offensive line, again, they continue to mount for the Jaguars. Ben Barch, he's active for you now off the PUP. Had the knee injury last year that kept him out the majority of the season. You know, following week 5, he was out and not activated from the PUP list until earlier this week. So hopefully you'll be able to get him back out on the field soon in a meaningful way. There's just been so much shuffling for this group up front so far. So many guys have gone down. It's not looking great, honestly, for the depth. But the good news is the entire starting lineup appears like it could be intact for week 1 and week 5 when Cam Robinson can come back from that suspension. So when you look at week 1, right, the vision, I think, for that week has always been Walker Little at left tackle, Ben Barch, if healthy, at left guard, Luke Fortner at center, Brandon Sheriff at right guard, and Anton Harrison at right tackle. All those guys still appear to be available for the Jaguars, even though Harrison is dealing with that pain management in the shoulder. You're still going to be able to trot those guys out there, assuming everything goes well the rest of the preseason for them. And then week 5, when you drop Cam Robinson in, I think that their plan has been pretty obvious. They want to slide Walker Little into left guard, Cam Robinson at left tackle, but that's a long way away. A lot can change between now and week 5 of the regular season. But yeah, these offensive line injuries, they're really impacting the depth in a big way. And I think that as long as you are able to get Ben Barch up to speed by the time week 1 rolls around and Anton Harrison is able to manage that pain, it's looking pretty good up front in regards to the starters. But the depth, not so much. So you're just hoping that nothing else, another pin doesn't drop on that offensive line, right? Hoping to avoid any more of those I words throughout the rest of the preseason and into the regular season too, obviously. If you're enjoying the content here, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss a show. Really helps us grow this channel. I really appreciate y'all's support. You can also check out genjag.com/shop, pick up some new Duval gear. Again, very appreciative of y'all tuning in and supporting what we're doing here. And looking at the defensive line, it's not as many injuries up front for the Jaguars on that defensive line, but where you have the depth injuries on the offensive line, you have starters that are injured on the defensive line right now. Foley Fatukasi, he is week to week. He had a boot on his right foot up there in Detroit. Did not play against the Lions, obviously, yesterday. So Foley Fatukasi, he's your starting defensive end and base. He's a big, physical defensive lineman that you really rely on as a run defender in a big way. And he suffered a similar injury. We're not sure exactly what this injury is right now, but he had a calf injury last year that really kind of held him back from playing at his very best early on in the season for the Jaguars. So obviously you want him to be able to be healthy. You paid big money for him last year to bring him in as a free agent defensive tackle. You want him to be in your starting lineup. He's apparently week to week. And now, even scarier potentially, Devon Hamilton was seen by Brent Martineau leaving the Jaguars locker room yesterday on crutches. We hadn't heard anything about that until Brent Martineau shared that via Twitter, or I should say X. I'll keep saying Twitter though. So your starting nose, Devon Hamilton, who might be your very best defensive lineman on your roster right now, we don't know what the situation is. We don't know how long he's going to be out. We don't know how long Foley Fatukasi is going to be out. That's 2/3 of your interior D-line and base. Obviously, you still have Roy Robertson-Harris, but DeJuan Smoot, he's not back. He's a guy that could fill in at defensive end if need be, but he's not back from the Achilles tendon injury yet. He's still working his way back. So I'm not sure how you're going to handle this situation if Foley Fatukasi or Devon Hamilton are not available for week one. Right now, looking at the roster, it looks like it would probably be Raymond Vohasek, the rookie out of North Carolina, who is super powerful at nose tackle. Because I think if Devon went down and you still had Foley, ideally Foley would probably kick inside for you and play some nose tackle when you need that type of look, because he's kind of the biggest, most experienced guy that has done that on your roster. But looking at it now, with both of those guys potentially down, and we don't know how long they'll be down for, Devon Hamilton and Foley Fatukasi, Raymond Vohasek, the rookie, like I said, out of North Carolina. He's a big, powerful guy who can definitely disrupt in the backfield, but do you really want to rely on a rookie at nose tackle to start the season? I'm not sure. And then who would be replacing Foley Fatukasi at defensive end? Right now it looks like it would be Jeremiah Ledbetter, and he's playing well. He's had a very strong training camp for the Jaguars. He had a strong training camp for the Jaguars in 2022. They really liked what he brought to the field, and you've seen it carry over into the preseason. He might have been their very best player on the field yesterday. He was able to create a lot of penetration. He's big. He's explosive off the line of scrimmage. He's able to get into the backfield and make plays. He got a sack, a forced fumble, 5 tackles for the Jaguars yesterday. He was really playing some very good football for them, and you've seen that pretty consistently now over the last couple years when he's been given opportunities for Jeremiah Ledbetter. So I think right now, if you were without Devon Hamilton and without Foley Fatukasi going into a meaningful game in week one, Vohasek and Ledbetter could be in the starting lineup for you. Do you feel great about that against a Colts team that's probably going to come out and try to run the football quite a bit with Anthony Richardson? Obviously, they're hoping Jonathan Taylor as well. We'll see how it plays out, but I would not be surprised if those guys are going to miss some extended periods of time if the Jaguars go hit the free agent market to try to get a veteran in here who can either play nose or play defensive end or maybe both. We'll see how it plays out. Would you be in panic mode if you had to start Jeremiah Ledbetter? Definitely not, in my opinion. I think he can play. Raymond Vohasek, younger player, not as experienced certainly, so I think there's a little bit more trepidation there if you had to play him at nose tackle, but he has the physical ability to get the job done. Big injury situations here on that defensive line for the Jaguars. Big injuries on the back end of the offensive line for the Jags as well. You know, that depth is in question now on the offensive line with all these injuries that have stacked up. So you're going to have to monitor that throughout the remainder of the preseason. Again, the Jaguars close out their preseason this upcoming weekend playing against the Miami Dolphins in Jacksonville. Should be in front of a nice little home crowd there. And you're going to see the starters play quite a bit, according to Doug Peterson. So thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully these injuries can kind of be resolved by the time the regular season rolls around, but we'll see how it all plays out. Again, thank you so much. Hit me up on Twitter at Jordan DeLugo. You can follow Generation Jaguar at Generation Jag, and check out genjag.com/shop. Pick up some new Duval gear. And of course, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Have a good one, Duval.